Hey, deserving listeners, Love is Blind. Let's watch.
Judge.
Yeah.
That was frustrating to me.
You come home with this random dude, it almost just felt like you were strangers.
Yeah.
Because you were a stranger to me.
Oh, absolutely.
And I just like had my heart on my sleeve and I was not that nice, so I'm sorry.
I appreciate the apology.
You did nothing wrong.
In this experiment, it's unlike anything, obviously.
All right, so yeah, that's great. I want to highlight that Monica's sister, apologized and provided some context, which is often helpful in an apology. She's saying that essentially it was kind of a shock to the system, and I think we could all understand that, and that she said she wears her heart on her sleeve. I wonder if it would be even more effective if she said, I gave it some thought, and actually I think I have some issues around my baby sister surpassing me in a certain way, which isn't great. But aside from that, I definitely know that I was worried about my sister and was just overly suspicious. I wonder if there's something going on in the family that would require her to be in that role. Maybe in the past, the family depended on the older sister to voice those concerns because they were not voicing those concerns. That wouldn't be unusual. It's hard to know, but I will appreciate, as they are, that sister is apologizing, and I don't think we could have expected it to go better, so kudos to the sister.
Concerned or didn't have a good impression about.
My only thing was just like energy levels. Like,
Yeah.
you have a ton of energy. I love that for you.
I love that for you.
And like, we're nappers. The Denise women are nappers.
We are nappers.
And just because I have a lot of.
So we would not expect someone in the sister's shoes to suddenly change everything about her overnight. So there's seemingly still some issues there, some rigidity, or I don't know. But she's saying you have a lot of energy. I would say Monica has just as much, if not more, energy than Joey. I mean, maybe Joey comes off as having more energy when you're in an extroverted hangout. But when it's just the two of them by themselves, Monica is the one, at least in the beginning, when they are at the getaway, that is bouncing off the walls. Joey too, but she says, the sister, we're nappers. What does that even mean? And even if that were decidedly true, that he's very energetic, that he is happy and easygoing and willing to do things, right? The family was like, let's play these musical instruments, and he's like, okay, let's go. How is that a down? And how does that interfere with people's naps? I mean, what do you think is happening? That his energy, like a golden retriever, will prevent Monica from taking a nap? What does that even mean? So the sister seems to be still in a place of rigidity, which is expected.
Energy. It does not mean I am a very serious and I have a lot of intelligent content.
Now, maybe the sister doesn't have the time or the awareness or sophistication to describe it in a more coherent manner. Maybe if we could get more from the sister, she would say, well, it's not really napping versus energy. It's more of, I don't know if they're a good match, because the sort of guy that I thought that Monica would be compatible with, based on what I know about her in the past, it just doesn't seem to fit what Joey is. Joey is more silly and more irreverent in a way, and Monica is a serious person in my view, or whatever, maybe there's something like that. But the way she puts it is like, you got a lot of energy, and I like that for you. I mean, what? Plus you met him in what context? When he's being, not grilled, but evaluated, and you only have so much time. So I'm not a fan of judgment like that. I hope you would know that. I would imagine most people aren't a fan of just being very certain about your judgment negatively about other people.
Conversations
Oh,
with
I
her
know.
specifically.
And just because I'm a napper, it doesn't mean I can't go want to do things
Oh,
and
I
have
know.
fun and like have
Totally.
a lot of energy.
Yeah,
And
I like
but
can't
also, like,
help but be protective
Yeah,
of you.
but also like
And it comes off
trust
harsh
me.
sometimes.
I know, but like through this.
All right, so the sister says, I can't help but to be protective of you. Okay. And then she says, and it comes out harsh sometimes. You know, it's not in this entirety, but we'll hear things like this in our personal lives and on reality television where someone like Hannah, Hannah and Nick D in the previous US season, she would say things like that she's like, well, I'm a truth teller, and sometimes I just say it in a very blunt manner, whereas all of us from the outside would say, that's not blunt. That's you having a need to put other people down. That's you exhibiting a lack of empathy. It's not just being blunt about something or forward or not backing down from conflict or so. For her to say, well, it just comes out harsh sometimes. And also overprotectiveness. Well, you weren't just overprotective, which is, it has the connotation of care and love of your sister. I hope the sister would know that Monica was not appreciating anything that was being said when they were just the two of them, right? So it seems to be some distortion there. So it's good she apologized, but I wonder if she actually means it, given what she's saying, It looked sincere, though, so maybe it's, a gesture. But if you get her to be honest, she would say, yeah, I don't really apologize. Now, there's another future here where the two of them don't get married. Maybe even he says no at the altar. I don't know. And she can say, I was right, but for the wrong reasons, right? Or for the right reasons, because I wouldn't know. I will say, and I've said this before, that this couple on the surface seems the most solid going to the altar, saying yes, yes. But when I really pay attention to what we're seeing, I wouldn't be surprised if both of them were a no, because there isn't that intensity. And we're not really seeing that intensity anywhere. And so I think we're primed to, because weren't they the first to get engaged? Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's true. Like they got engaged episode 1 or 2. I think we're used to that being the couple that definitely is a yes, yes at the end. And I think it often is, at least off the top of my head. And I don't think it's necessarily going to happen here. Also, I think we're primed to look at couples that don't have, at least in the edit, any kind of major conflict or tension that, well, yeah, they're going to be yes, yes at the altar. And I wouldn't be surprised if they were yes, yes, but I also would not be surprised if they were a no, no, or a yes, no.
What I want and who I am.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm happy. Like, I'm not just blindly going into a marriage just for the sake of going into a marriage.
That's
regardless
very
of the
comforting to
experience.
hear.
Yeah, and I told her that
Yeah.
from the beginning. I'm like, and last time 100.
That's interesting. When Monica steps forward and said, I'm not blindly going into this, and the sister says, that's very comforting to hear. I believe that it is comforting to the sister. And then we'd have to ask ourselves, well, why were you assuming otherwise? And I would answer that question with, I don't know. Stop asking me questions that are impossible for me to answer. Just right. So one possibility is that the real conflict is between Monica and her sister, and Joey is being triangulated into that. Because on the surface, it looks like the sister has a problem with Joey, but really, it would make more sense that the sister and Monica would have an ongoing tension, right? And from that little exchange, and from the exchange when it was the two of them outside talking, back at their house, that the sister thinks that Monica is incompetent or frivolous or immature or stupid or something, right? And when Monica says something that's pretty obvious, I would assume that all of us would assume that Monica is someone that thought about it carefully. Now, maybe she didn't, but, so I will say again that it's totally normal for a family member to be very skeptical about this process, especially if they're not a fan of the show. But even if they are, I don't know, because it is such a weird thing. There's an airplane. That one's low. Probably a seaplane. There's this seaplane route that's right over our head. The real tension could be between them. Then we ask ourselves why. What history is going on there for the sister? It would be weird if it was just the sister that had this issue. It in all likelihood has something to do with the family. And the one hypothesis that is the most common anecdotally for me is that the parents were not pulling their weight regarding, or at least it wasn't seen by the sister. It was reasonable for the sister as a younger person, maybe as a teenager or even younger, to conclude that the parents were not doing their job somehow. They were having trouble with their marriage. They were depressed. They had drug addiction, alcoholism. They were working too much, something that resulted in the parents weren't parented well themselves. And so the sister saw consequences and was parentified and is stuck in that place of black and whiteness and feels like that's her job and was rewarded either directly or indirectly by the family system for sacrificing her own childhood to take care of other people, maybe most notably Monica. And she has resentment around that. And it all kind of comes out in the same bit of like, I'm overprotective, but I resent the fact that I have to protect you, that kind of thing. It has that look to it. I don't know. If you come from a family that suffered with addiction, like alcoholism, then you probably had someone in the family that had been given and who volunteered for that role. It might even be you.
100%. I'm not gonna.
I'm the same.
I'm just trying to, protect you. But
I know.
you're a grown up.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Yeah.
And like seeing you guys interact today with the photo shoot, it's like.
And just throwing it out there, similar to the hypotheses that I have been putting forth regarding Dave, of which I can't know if it's applicable, that Monica might have gone on the show as a way to break free of the ever-watching eye of her sister. She needed to, have that complete communication cut off in order for the sister not only to just, date without interference, but maybe even just to have her own mind space, right? The sister might reside in Monica's mind frequently. The other thing that could occur is that Monica could go with the match with Joey, even though there isn't enough of a reason to do so, because she is wanting to be on her own 2 feet and she doesn't want to admit defeat to her sister. It wouldn't be the first time that had happened.
I see it now. Like, I see you guys like each other.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And like, I can always tell when somebody really likes the other person during photo shoots because I'm giving you guys direction and you're not even hearing me. You're like so caught up in your own little like flirtatious shit. So yeah, that was cute.
And another principle of family systems is that when there is new input, particularly when there's a new member or a change in roles, then the marker of health of the system, whether it's a family system or a work system or a cellular system, is that it will adjust. It will be flexible enough so that there is positive change or change for the betterment of everyone's needs, meaning that we don't want systems to change very easily because that would result in systems changing too quickly, too often, to too many stimuli, to too many inputs. You want some stability because chaos is uncomfortable. But also, if you listen to everything that's happening or you react to everything like, well, this is the new normal, then you could adjust to the wrong sorts of things. You want to have some pushback of like, well, wait a second, let's be careful. And that's how do we do that? That's the question. So we might be witnessing what we call in the biz a positive homeostasis change, or what we call morphogenesis, a new configuration of the family roles and rules and structure for the better. Maybe this is the family's next step in their progression away from whatever it was that resulted in the sister and Monica taking on these roles. I'm speculating, but I'm just saying that as a family systems thinker and practitioner and teacher, those are the lenses that I'm looking at things through.
See. I definitely thought in the beginning it was a little bit phony. When I first met Joey, he was just like on, very on. And I was like, is this guy for real?
Yeah, I can see that. That the first time you meet Joey, the cameras are there. Especially if you have some awareness of reality television, you would think, okay, I know enough about reality TV to know that it's a put on, it's faked, it's scripted. And so I'm meeting Joey while the cameras are here, and I could also see someone who is even just a little bit skeptical, especially primed in the position that she was in, that you would look at Joey and think, that can't be genuine. No one is that nice or that open or that energetic or that smiley. He's acting, but it looks like he actually is that way. I've seen that before. Now, we've had more contact with him, and Joey is not invading he's not threatening our families, right? So we don't have any reason necessarily to be skeptical of him. So, the sister's statements here make sense in some ways. But what do we do with that, right? Do we insult our sister in the process and make her feel like you think that she's completely incompetent and that she's like a child? There's been a number of instances where the sister has said, well, you're a grown-up, or you're old enough to make your own decisions. And Monica's like, okay, thank you. Because Monica is how old? 27. So, it's like you're just realizing this. All right. Well, I want to thank everyone in the comments section for being cool to each other. We want to give people the benefit of the doubt, and we definitely don't want to cause harm or assume we understand where people are coming from, or even if someone says something that is bothersome, maybe even offensive, that we don't contribute to the problem by alienating that person, driving them further into that rabbit hole of horribleness that they aren't at fault for. They were told these things, or they had emotional reasons for getting into that. And so we can change the world through love and understanding and confronting in a way that gives people the benefit of the doubt. And I see a lot of y'all doing that, and I really want to thank you, truly, because it's not typical on the internet, and in the typical discourse around reality television, it's even more rare. So thank you for that. And everyone out there, please take care of yourself, because you deserve it. You really, really do.